Hello everyone, my name is David. Today we are going to take a look at another real story with you. Even today there are many countries in this world where monarchy still exists, where there are kings. But perhaps there's no other country in the world quite like this one, where democracy and monarchy coexist. In most countries, presidents or prime ministers have fixed terms. Like in the United States, the president serves a 4-year term. In India, the prime minister serves 5-year terms. But there is one country where, when someone is chosen as king, they serve only for 5 years. After 5 years, a new king is chosen. That country is Malaysia. Malaysia is a major tourist hub and attracts many visitors. At one point, it was under British rule, just like India. While India gained independence in 1947, Malaysia became independent in 1957. After independence, Malaysia went through a lot of political and structural changes. The country has a total of 13 states, but what makes it unique is that 9 of those states have their own royal families and monarchies. In each of these 9 states, the head is called a sultan. So there are 9 states, 9 royal families, and 9 sultans. Each sultan also has a designated heir known as the crown prince, who is next in line to become sultan of that state. According to Malaysia's rules and traditions, the king of Malaysia is chosen from among these 9 sultans. They vote among themselves to select the king, and no one else in the country can vote in this process. The selected king must be from a royal family, and seniority is also taken into consideration. This system has been in place since the beginning. Out of the 13 states in Malaysia, only 9 have monarchies. The sultans of these 9 states come together to elect the king of Malaysia. However, the king doesn't hold much actual power because Malaysia is a democracy where the government is elected and the prime minister is the main authority. Still, it remains a constitutional monarchy. The king mainly performs ceremonial duties, like administering oaths and representing the country in formal functions, sometimes even for foreign visits. But he doesn't have real governing power. The 9 sultans elect one among themselves to serve as king for a 5-year term, and after those 5 years, a new king is chosen again. These 9 sultans vote to elect the king of Malaysia, and the voting process is quite unique. Each sultan casts a ballot, and once the king is elected, all the ballots are destroyed in the presence of the sultans and the newly chosen king. No one else ever sees them. So, the 9 sultans from the 9 royal states choose the king of Malaysia. One of these 9 states is Perak, a state in Malaysia. Perak has a population of around 9 million. In contrast, the total population of Malaysia is about 33 to 34 million. So, Perak alone has a significant share of the country's population. Perak also has a sultan and a crown prince. Since it's one of the 9 royal states, its sultan participates in choosing the king of Malaysia. The current crown prince of Perak is Raja Jaafar Muda Musa, commonly known as Raja Jaafar. Today's story is about him. Raja Jaafar's father, Raja Musa, is already married and has a son, Raja Jaafar Muda Musa, who is the current crown prince of Perak. But in 2002, Raja Jaafar unexpectedly met a young woman. She was from a wealthy Malaysian family and had been very beautiful since childhood. As she grew up, her beauty opened doors for her in modeling, and she even started receiving offers from the film industry. During this time, Raja Jaafar saw her for the first time. Her name was Hasleza. Raja Jaafar was completely captivated by Hasleza's beauty. Although there was a significant age gap of about 36 years between them, it didn't matter to him. Ignoring the age difference and everything else, one day he proposed to Hasleza, asking, "Will you marry me?" Now, this was a proposal from a royal family. The man was the crown prince, soon to become a sultan, and possibly even the king of Malaysia in the future, since the position rotates among the 9 sultans. So Hasleza immediately responded and said, "Yes, I'm ready to marry you." In January 2002, Raja Ja'afar and Hasleza had a grand wedding, following all traditional customs held in Thailand. It was a lavish and luxurious ceremony. After the wedding, they returned home, and Hasleza, now his second wife, was brought into the royal palace and given the title of Junior Queen. In the palace, there was already a queen, Raja Ja'afar's first wife, whose name was Queen Nur Mahani. So now there were two queens in the palace, the senior queen, the first wife, and the junior queen, Hasleza. The wedding took place in January 2002, and everything seemed to be going well. But after the junior queen, Hasleza, entered the palace, strange things began to happen. The senior queen, the first wife, started experiencing unusual seizures. She claimed she would see headless birds, hear the cries of children, and sometimes even see snakes in her room. These were all bizarre and unsettling occurrences, things that couldn't be explained. At first, everyone thought it was just her imagination. She was taken to doctors, but nothing helped. Her condition didn't improve, and soon her sleepless nights and anxiety worsened. The senior queen began to feel that something was seriously wrong. These strange things were happening both in dreams and while she was awake. Eventually, the senior queen called her brother and told him everything. She expressed her suspicion, saying that ever since the junior queen had entered the palace, all these strange events had started. She suspected it might be a case of black magic. The senior queen also harbored hatred and jealousy toward the junior queen after her marriage to the crown prince. She felt that Hasleza had taken her husband away, that he was now closer to the junior queen than to her. Ever since Raja Ja'afar got married, he had been spending most of his time with his new bride. Being newlyweds, he was naturally more attentive to her, caring more for her, asking more about her, and gradually he began to ignore the senior queen. This deeply affected the first wife, who had been with him for years. These emotional wounds were already there in her heart, and around the same time all the strange incidents began. She began to suspect and believe that it might all be happening due to black magic. In Malaysia, just like in many other countries, there are regions where belief in black magic is common. Many people there genuinely believe that dark forces or supernatural powers exist, powers that can control someone's mind, win over someone's heart, or even push people apart. So the senior queen suspected that the junior queen had deliberately used black magic on her, perhaps to make the king grow distant from her and closer to the new queen. She even feared that the junior queen might want to harm or kill her. Disturbed and frightened, she called her brother to the palace and shared everything with him. He stayed at the palace for some time, observed things himself, and even spoke to Raja Ja'afar. But the king simply said, "Everything seems fine to me. I don't understand what's going on." Maybe it was just imagination, but the brother insisted, "No, something is definitely wrong." The marriage had only taken place a few months earlier, in January 2002, and all of this was happening around March or April. Despite his presence, things didn't improve. Every night the senior queen would scream, saying she could see headless birds, blood, crying children, and snakes. Her brother also heard her screams at night and got up several times, though he never saw anything himself. Still, he felt deep down that something was truly wrong. He said, "All right, I'll do something about this." After that, he left the palace. By now, he was fully convinced, just like his sister, that this was a case of black magic. So he went in search of a way to break the spell. A few days later, he returned to the palace, and this time, he brought two people with him. He introduced these two individuals as servants and assigned them to work under the senior queen. But in reality, they were brought in to investigate or possibly counter the suspected black magic. He told everyone that the two men he brought would stay around the queen to help her. But the truth was that the two servants he brought were actually from a special tribe in Malaysia called Bomoh Haj. Bomoh Haj are like spiritual healers or shamans, similar in other cultures. They are experts in spells, rituals, black magic, and exorcism. So her brother brought 2 Bomo Haj with him, hoping that if the junior queen had really done any black magic, these experts could break the curse. The men arrived and began their work, but nothing improved. Days went by, and now it was already October 2002, 7 months since the wedding. But there was still no change in the senior queen's condition. Even after the 2 Bomo Haj tried their best, her health showed no signs of recovery. Then suddenly, on October 6, 2002, something shocking happened. The junior queen disappeared from the palace. Now, a queen going missing from the royal palace is no small thing. It's almost impossible for a member of the royal family to just vanish. At first, people thought maybe she had just gone out nearby for a walk or some personal time. But by evening, she still hadn't returned. When word spread that Queen Hasleza was missing, Raja Ja'afar became very worried. A search began immediately. Soon, some eyewitnesses from around the palace reported that they had seen her leaving in a car with 2 men. And the way she was leaving, it didn't look normal. It seemed as if she had been forced into the car, and that made the situation even more alarming. Raja Ja'afar became extremely concerned. But unlike traditional monarchies, Malaysia is a democracy. There's an elected government, police, laws, and courts. So the incident was formally reported to the authorities that the Queen had gone missing from the palace. The police began their investigation. The next day, the car in which the Queen had reportedly been taken was found abandoned in a remote area. When police inspected the vehicle, they found some of the Queen's cut hair and nails inside, along with blood stains. The sight of blood in the car sent a chill down the spine of the officers. It became clear that something was terribly wrong. The search for the Queen continued. After 6 days of her disappearance, on October 12th, some locals reported a shocking sight. In Perak, at a beautiful tourist spot with waterfalls, there was a hill nearby with a tree, and hanging from that tree was a badly decomposed body. When the news reached the police, they rushed to the location. The body's throat had been slit, and it was already in a severely decayed state. The police brought the body down to examine it further. After seeing the body, the identity wasn't immediately confirmed, but certain details made it clear that it was the missing Queen Hasleza. She had been brutally murdered. Her body was covered in wounds, and her throat had been slit. Once the body was brought down, the police officially opened a murder investigation. And this wasn't just any murder, it involved the royal family and the junior queen. Raja Ja'afar was in complete shock. The marriage had only been 7 months old. Meanwhile, the police intensified their investigation. Based on the car that was found abandoned and witness statements, they identified the last 2 people seen with the Queen, and they were both from inside the palace. The police arrested the 2 suspects based on witness descriptions, and it turned out they were the same 2 Bomo Haj, the shamans, that the senior queen's brother had brought from his region to deal with the suspected black magic. These 2 men, known for their expertise in spells, rituals, and black magic, had been the last ones seen with the queen. Under intense questioning, both men confessed to the murder. They admitted, "Yes, we killed the junior queen. We took her away under a false pretense, slit her throat, and then hung her body from a tree in a remote area so no one would find it easily. After that, we left the scene." Now that the 2 men had confessed to the crime, the news of a junior queen's murder within the royal family made headlines across Malaysia. This wasn't some ancient event. It happened just 24 years ago. By that time, news channels were widespread, even though social media hadn't yet taken over. The story dominated the media, and strange details kept surfacing. After their confession, police asked the men about their motive. Until then, they had simply admitted to the murder and said, "Punish us however you want," but gave no reason. At that point, Raja Ja'afar, now referred to as Sultan Ja'afar, told the police, "Find out the motive." So the Malaysian police, specifically the Perak police, questioned the two men more aggressively, and then came a shocking revelation. They said, "Yes, we killed the junior queen, but we did it on the orders of the senior queen." This statement stunned the police. The case already involved the royal family, the crown prince's wife, and now it was alleged that the senior queen had orchestrated the murder. The crown prince at the time was not only the future sultan of Perak, but also a potential king of Malaysia. Now the question was, what should be done? Because the two killers were clearly admitting to the crime and directly accusing the senior queen of masterminding it. They said, "We committed the murder on the orders of the senior queen." Now the pieces started to connect. The two killers had been brought from the same region by the senior queen's brother, and they were from her hometown. So what could be done? The matter reached the king of Perak, who at that time was the father of Crown Prince Raja Jaafar, whose second wife, the junior queen, had been murdered. The police reached out to him, asking what action should be taken. He responded, "Do whatever the law allows, follow the legal process." And so, for the first time in Perak's royal history, a queen was arrested by police, accused of being involved in the murder of the junior queen. She was formally taken from the royal palace for interrogation. The Malaysian media initially tried to keep the story under wraps, but the news eventually leaked and headlines about the Queen's arrest began appearing in newspapers and on TV. During interrogation, the senior queen was kept in police custody for about 6 days. Meanwhile, bizarre and conflicting reports began to circulate. Some reports claimed she had confessed, while others said she denied everything. One version of events suggested the Queen told police that she had brought the two men with the help of her brother, but claimed they had later used black magic on her, implying that she was not in full control of her actions. And according to her, the black magic was done by the junior queen. The senior queen said, "She cast a spell on me and I simply wanted to break free from it. I wanted to free myself from her enchantment and the control she had over me." She claimed, "That's why I brought these two shamans to the palace to break the black magic. But even after they arrived, my condition didn't improve. I kept seeing the same horrifying visions, so I told them, 'Do something. Destroy the source of the junior queen's magical powers. End whatever force she's using.'" She explained, "I truly believe she was the reason I had grown distant from my husband. She had come close to him, become the junior queen, and I feared that one day when the time came for Raja Jaafar to become the king of Malaysia, I might be pushed aside. I believed she had used black magic to do all this. So I told the shamans to take away her powers, not to kill her." This was the defense the senior queen gave, and the two Bomohaj she had brought with her also confirmed her statement, saying that she had indeed asked them to take the junior queen's magical powers, not to take her life. The killer said, "Yes, the queen told us to take away her powers, but she never told us to take her life." So now there were conflicting statements, the two killers' version and the senior queen's defense. In the end, the senior queen was given only 1 week of detention. After that, she returned to the palace. The two men, however, were formally arrested, and the prosecution demanded the death penalty. But eventually, the Malaysian court sentenced them to 14 years in prison. They served their time and were later released. After all this, in 2017, 15 years after the incident, the senior queen passed away, reportedly due to illness. She had lived in the same palace all those years, alone as the only queen, because Raja Jaafar never remarried, never fell in love again, and never forgot the junior queen. Her memory stayed with him always. He chose to live out his life with the senior queen, despite everything. Then, 2 years after her death, Raja Jaafar finally remarried. In this third marriage, he chose a widow from a royal family whose husband had passed away. As of 2019, and even now in 2025, Raja Jaafar and his third wife are living together in the royal palace. He remains the crown prince of Perak, and in the near future, he is expected to become the Sultan of Perak. After that, based on the rotation system and seniority, since Sultan Ibrahim became the King of Malaysia in 2024 and will serve until 2029, if fate and age are on his side, Raja Jafar could one day become the King of Malaysia. Yes, the same Raja Jafar whose second wife, the junior queen, fell victim to a deadly palace conspiracy, murdered in the name of black magic, her body later found hanging from a tree already decomposed. Stories involving ghosts, curses, or black magic are rarely seen in royal palaces because it's generally believed that the royal class stays far from such things. But the truth is different. The truth is, humans are still human, and especially when someone feels their power, place, or right has been taken away, things can turn dark. So this was today's story. Thank you for joining us on this journey today. We hope you enjoyed the content and found it valuable.